Hello, welcome to Words of Wisdom series that we're in, talking about Martin Luther King Jr. today, since it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I have a few of his quotes that I have been really inspired by. This first one really shifted like a major, mindset or lens in my life. And it is this quote: "True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice." And I remember I was on a walk with one of my life coaches, and I was talking about how I kept trying to bring peace into this situation that there was a lot of conflict in, and I was really frustrated that all of my attempts to create peace were not actually creating peace. They were creating a dynamic where I was a doormat, and it was not a healthy dynamic. And I remember this coach asking me, "What makes you think that," how did he say it? He's like, "What makes you think that having peace in this moment is actually creating it in the big picture for you?" And I was like, It had me stop and think about it. And then he shared this quote with me: "True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice." And he said, maybe what you're trying to create is the absence of tension, when that is the very thing needed to actually get you to a place of peace. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a light bulb moment for me. My name's Tally, by the way. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders, and I am doing a series right now. It's called Words of Wisdom, bringing quotes from just inspirational, motivational leaders, bringing the wisdom that they have experienced in their life and given to us to glean from, to learn from, and how do we take some of that wisdom and integrate it into our lives. So this is one of the quotes that has been game changer, really just mindset shifting for me. That often all of my attempts, and this is really good for those of you who have personality types that are kind of conflict avoidant. And so I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, for those of you who know Enneagram, and that is helper. And so I tend to be, in my nature, pretty conflict averse. If you're a 9 on the Enneagram, peacemaker, you're like that too. You tend to like to just bring peace into situations, bring people together, not have a lot of conflict. I was with one of my sisters yesterday, and she has such a higher tolerance for conflict. And in the past, that's been kind of a thing where we've made each other right or wrong about it. And now I was really celebrating it yesterday, because she was apologizing for being kind of conflict oriented with somebody in our day, not me, and I was like, zero judgment about it. I love it, actually. I love the ability to be able to celebrate the differences in our personality, to be able to just embrace who she is as a number 8 on the Enneagram. She's a lot more like, will stand up for justice and like take a stand for what she believes is right. Anyway, I love that. But for those of you who tend to be more conflict averse, this is just another perspective to have on a situation. That, let me just read the quote again. "True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice." So sometimes leaning into conflict, and you can do that in a way that still brings love into the mix, but tension isn't necessarily peace. The absence of tension isn't necessarily the same thing as peace. So conflict is unavoidable. It's always going to be there. And justice is defined as fair treatment. So I want to read another quote. It ties in a little bit. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So that's another Martin Luther King Jr. quote. And the last one that I feel like kind of ties into some of this conversation is, "The most persistent and urgent question is this: what are you doing for others?" So when you look at bringing justice into situations, when you look at bringing light into situations, when you look at what is it that I'm doing on behalf of others, like that, those are some of the key questions, and those are some of the big takeaways from a life, in my opinion, really well lived. Somebody who was willing to give their life to make a stand for justice, for what's right, and to bring light into situations on behalf of other people. So I think the question I want to leave you with, as you look at your life, where can you identify the places that you're willing to stand up for what is right, to bring integrity and justice, fair treatment for other people into the situation? Where do you feel like you're bringing light and really standing up on behalf of others? So just looking at that and being willing to be someone who's willing to embrace some amount of tension in order to stand up for what's right, in order to bring light into situations, and in order to love others and really do things for others. So let me read those 3 quotes one last time. True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Life's most persistent and urgent question is this: what are you doing for others? So I'll leave you with that, a little bit of wisdom and inspiration from the amazing Martin Luther King Jr. Be blessed today as you bring light and love into the world.